Hello, I'm Shelby Gregoriadis, and I'm the corporate chef for Clark's, Sub-Zero, Wolf & Cove, New England. And with National Coffee Day just around the corner, we wanted to make an ode to our favorite caffeinated beverage. Today, we'll be making tiramisu, so let's get started. I always like to start by preparing the dish I'll be using so it's ready once all the other components are. I have a 9x9 baking dish right here, and I have it lined with parchment paper. I actually lined this a very specific way. I extended it about 2 inches on each side past the bottom of a pan, and then I also gave each corner a diagonal slit. This is going to allow me to push this right into the bottom of a pan, and then it will also line the sides of a pan for you. So there we are, pan's all ready, so we can get started with the components. First, we're going to start by making the whipped frosting that goes in between each layer that's just so delicate and fluffy. So we're going to start with 1 cup of heavy cream, as well as a 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm going to move this mixer right on up. So now that it's twisted in place, I'm going to turn this on to level 7. So you want to whisk this until it's a nice firm whipped cream, but you don't want to over whip it or else it will start to turn into butter. Next, we're going to add some mascarpone. So I already have this at room temperature because it can be so firm when it's chilled. So we're just going to add that right to the mixer. And there we are. We're going to just mix to incorporate. There we are. Next, we're going to take 4 egg yolks and another 1/4 cup of sugar in a glass bowl. And we're just going to quickly whisk this until it's doubled in size and it's lighter in color. So you don't want to add the sugar to the egg yolks until you're just about ready to whisk it, because the sugar can actually start to dehydrate the egg yolks to a point where it will actually make your egg yolks clumpy. There we are. It's already getting a bit fuller and it's getting lighter in color already. Perfect. So now we're going to add this right to the mascarpone mixture. Beautiful. So we're just going to mix to incorporate again. So now I'm just going to remove the bowl from the stand. Tap off any of the excess. And now that component's all done. And now for the star ingredient, espresso. Your Wolf coffee system can brew anything from coffee to cappuccinos, but today we'll just be using espresso. So to select the strength, you're going to be pressing the beans button until you hit extra strong. Then the next button over will allow you to select espresso out of your different coffee options. And then finally, since we're going to need about 7 double shots of espresso, we'll be pressing the double cup button to allow you to brew 2 espressos at once. So I already got a bit of a head start, so I already have all my espresso brewed right here. I have my dish, I have my lady fingers, and I have my cream. So I'm ready to get started. I'm actually going to add about 2 tablespoons of coffee liqueur right to the espresso. If you don't have coffee liqueur, you can substitute this with rum or cognac. Anything like that will suffice as well. Perfect. So you want to start by rolling your lady fingers in the espresso. You don't want to soak them because then it won't be a nice sturdy base and they'll be too hard to work with if they're absolutely soaked. And we're also going to be starting in one corner and just working our way along the pan. Perfect. This is a great activity to do with family. It's always a fun, enjoyable time and doesn't really have much heat, so it's safe. So as you can see, I'm only rolling 2 at a time because that's all I can handle without letting them get absolutely soaked. I got these ladyfingers at Whole Foods, but most grocery stores will carry ladyfinger cookies. Ladyfingers are actually very similar to macaroons with how they're made. They're made with whipped egg whites, so that's the leavener that's giving you this nice, light, fluffy, yet crisp cookie. And then I have a little bit of a gap to the edge, so I actually have a couple ladyfingers that I've cut in half. And I'm just going to push those to the side. So inevitably you're going to have little gaps here and there, and that's fine. You just don't want any large gaps. So if you have any large gaps between your cookies, just break off little bits, give it a touch of espresso, and use those to fill in any of those gaps. So now that we have the first layer done, we can go ahead and add some of our cream. So we're going to add about half of the cream mixture we made right on top of these cookies. And then we're going to use an offset spatula to just push this right into the corners and have a nice smooth topping. There we are. So now we can go ahead with our second layer of cookies. So again, you don't want to over soak them, but it's not quite as important the second time around since we already have a nice sturdy base to our tiramisu. Perfect. Now we have our second layer of cookies done. So now we can take the remainder of our cream and we're just going to place that right on top again. And I'm trying not to overwork it because that will lessen how fluffy it is. And there we are. So it's almost done, but it does have to rest in the refrigerator for about 4 hours or overnight. Luckily, I have one that's already done and ready for the final step. So here I have a tiramisu that I made yesterday, so it got the chance to rest in the fridge overnight. So now I'm going to take a fine mesh strainer, as well as some unsweetened cocoa powder, about 2 tablespoons. I'm just going to dust over the top of this until it's all covered. Perfect. So now, because of how we lined our pan earlier, it's going to make slicing and serving it so much easier now. So we're going to grab 2 of the excess pieces of parchment paper, and we're going to start to lift it right up and out. And since I have my cutting board right here, I can just drop it down right there. Now we can peel away any of this excess parchment paper. At this point, you can also give it another little dusting of cocoa powder if there's any spots missing it. And then from here, we can slice it and serve it. So as you can see, this tiramisu was so easy to make with the help of our Wolf coffee system, and it's a perfect treat for any of your caffeinated beverages. I'm going to be enjoying some tiramisu this National Coffee Day. I hope you do too.